I think it's important because as we're going through this change, there's lots. I mean, I do believe that there's lots of things that we have control over. Certainly not the change itself, but the the ebbs and tides of the hormones, the belly weight, so and it's not necessarily just a matter of, move more, eat less. So I'm hoping that I give you some hope. Most importantly, I think the big part is understanding what's going on with our bodies, having a really good baseline, having a doctor that supports us and will do the blood work and hormonal testing that we need. Because one hormone test doesn't necessarily give you the all the information that you need. We need kind of baselines over this journey. And, we're in it for the long run. Pregnancy, we start and end in 9 months plus postpartum, having our period for 50 some odd years or whatever that is for some of us. We kind of get into a groove of PMS and the hormone fluctuations. But this is all new, and certainly it's not like we haven't had other women that have done this before us, but I think they've suffered needlessly without having the tools that we do. So I want you guys to use me and abuse me if you have any questions. I've seen a lot of good information. I've got lots of resources. There's lots of things that we have control over. And I come at menopause from the foundation. What can I do to help my people, myself included, keep things consistent? The sleep, the stress management, the fitness, the nutrition, all under that umbrella, navigating hormone balance. Now, I love HRT, I love supplements. But I love coming back to the foundation of food, movement, stress management, and sleep. And any one of those, if any one of those are out, the Jenga block, the whole thing is cascading down. So that's what we're going to try to do in the next 10 days. Although it's a step challenge, the first and foremost is just try to get to a place where we're navigating movement, getting out some fresh air, sharing some space and time with our people. But more important, over the next 10 days, we're going to talk about some of the things that we can adjust and some of the things that we have control over. And that may mean looking at your food again. That may mean looking at how you move your body again. That may mean putting ourselves to bed a little earlier. But at the end of the day, there's options to make this better. So let's talk about the step challenge. And then if you guys have any questions, you just holler. So really the step challenge is all about over the next 10 days, we're just going to set some intention. We're going to find out where everybody is from a baseline perspective. So I don't want to go from like ideally step counts are in that 8 to 10,000 ideally daily range. But if you're sitting at a desk all day and you're getting 2,000 steps in on a regular basis, I don't think I don't think we're at a place where we can ask you to do 10,000 steps. So we want to go from, 2,500 steps on an average to 5,000. If you're at 5,000, maybe we bump it to 7,500. If you're at 7,500, maybe we bump it to the 10,000. So I'm looking for a place of baseline and then what you think you can commit to for the next 10 days. And that's all it is we're just going to start creating intentional daily movement. If I were to give you one tool that helps navigate this long term, this is walking. Walking for so many reasons. It lowers our cortisol. It helps us clear our head. For some of us, it's church to just get outside and, put a podcast in or some music and just kind of zone out. Helps us support fat loss. It improves mood and reduces inflammation. And all those things are typical changes that our body is going through as we're going through these hormone shifts. It's not about, needing to, chime in and be the winner. It's about helping you navigate getting a place where you feel good and we can just start adding intentional movement every day. So, as I said, your goal each day is to move with intention. If weather starts getting nasty, we can do mall walking. We can go to our local rec center like Millennium or our Drawson and do track walking, treadmill walking. So it all counts. And I want to go at a place where it makes sense for you. So we're going to find out where your baseline is, and then we're going to set our targets. We're going to track each day. And then I'm going to keep us all connected in a a text thread. So each day I'll send you out just a little piece of information. I'll ask a question, and then I'll ask for your intention of what your step count may be. So some days are going to be easier than others. I mean, a busy week that's coming up. We've got some crappy weather that may put a damper in our sail. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for an opportunity for us to get outside. At the other, so I said that walking is one of the best tools, one of the best mindsets that we can include in this lifetime or at this point in our life is consistency. So the things that move the dial is consistency. Um, you may find that you're not as hungry. You may find that you'll feel less bloated because we're going to talk a little bit about protein too. You may find that you show up for yourself, and that moment of being proud and of yourself for doing something for you is a moment of clarity. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. I mean, we've all given everything to our family, our kids, our job. The list is long, but this is probably the most important time for us to take some of that time back and look after us. Because we're the only ones that are going to be able to look after ourselves in the last 10 years of our life. And then how does that look? And I know that seems a little ridiculous at 50, 60 years old, but it feels like a blink of an eye and we're here. I can't imagine, what the next 20, 30 years are going to look like, how quickly that's going to come upon us. So we're going to try to build consistency, build momentum, and find a place where we can support each other through the 10 days to sustain it. So if your baseline is, 2,000 steps, maybe you're just getting a 500 to 1,000 more after that. So I'm looking to build your plan. It doesn't need to go from 2,000 steps to 10, and I don't want to necessarily increase it from 2,000 to 10, but 2,000 to 2,500 to 3,000. So we're gonna put a little intention together and make sure that you've got a plan. I want you to feel comfortable. Obviously, your pickleball is included because those are steps. Anything that you do during the day is included in a step. So it's not just mindful steps outside of work. Different ideas where you can get steps in, longer walks, reflection walks, intention, post meal, in the trees, mindful, add the hills or incline. And then I've left you two different trackers. The first one is your step goal. So this is the one that we'll create today. I'll send you this workbook. And then the next day, after you've done your first day, which is tomorrow, you're going to put your actual steps in. This is tracking something as silly as it sounds, gives us not just consistency, but it empowers us. It shows us that we can show up for ourselves. And sometimes that's really tough. We feel guilty. We feel like we're not doing something for the other 10,000 things on our things to do list. So this gives us an opportunity to reflect back when things get tough, that we can follow through and we can get it done. The bonus tracker is to look at your protein. Um, there's no better time to walk, But sometimes I think that, when we get into a situation where if you're similar to a lot of women that I've coached, we are busy during the day, so we eat littler than we do when we get home, and then we seem to eat dinner, and then dinner turns into snacks, which turns into a late night bedtime snack as well. So the some of the best time to get out to get it into a habit of getting out of the kitchen after supper is after a meal, but there's no better time to get out for a walk. What I'd like to try this week as well is, if you're interested, is to focus on trying to get 100 grams of protein per day. So 100 grams of protein per day is about 400 calories. Or yes, 400 calories. So there's 4 grams of protein, or there's four calories in 1 gram of protein. So we're looking at getting about a 400 to 500 calories of our day in protein. If you're having any issues trying to find ideas, we'll talk a little bit about that. But that's kind of the base for where we should be, the very basic of where we should be. As we age, our body doesn't absorb protein as well. So that's where we're looking at tweaking it up. But if you're under that 100-gram threshold, we need to get there first. And then if you'd like me to build you a nutrition plan based on your goals, just send me a message. I'll ask you a few questions and we can outline your calorie goal as well as your protein goal. The three things that I look at for helping women want to stay at their weight that they want or lose weight is, we look at the calories they eat, the protein they get in, fiber for sure if your guts aren't on a regular, cleansing or purging every day. And your fat and your carbs can be interchangeable. So some days you might eat 40% carbs, and some days you might eat 40% of fat, but they're interchangeable. If you eat those two macronutrients over what you're burning, they do turn into fat. Protein, however, we typically don't store protein. It's one of the macronutrients, which is why it's so talked about. It doesn't typically store. We use it for so many facets: energy, recovery. And there's just so many parts of our body that the amino acids from protein get absorbed into that we typically don't get enough of. And we typically will use all of the protein that we've taken in. I don't care how you get your protein in, if you're plant, fish, red meat, chicken, turkey, beans, lentils. That doesn't matter at all. We're just looking at the end of the day getting 100 grams of protein. And if you need a place to track it, you can certainly look on the back of the foods that you're eating, or you could use a product called My and just even use it to track your proteins per day. Some of the things that we'll look at as because of midlife is, as our hormones change, the way we absorb our insulin mechanism declines, and that's typically where we see some of the belly fat come in, because it when our insulin mechanism isn't working optimally, then that's typically where we go ahead and store fat, which is typical of this time of our life. So that's where we have to take a look at the foods that we're eating, and look to things to and look to try to keep a steady flow of nutrition coming in, rather than these big ebbs and tides. So you're really full or you're really hungry. I'd like it, these little undulations coming through the day, not big spikes in that. So if you're used to not feeding yourself throughout the day, and then trying to figure out why, you can't keep your head out of the fridge, that could be because we need to back your meals up. If you're looking at and you're not getting enough protein in, or you're not feeling satiated, if you have a piece of toast for breakfast, it may only take you 45 minutes to an hour to go through that piece of toast. So that's where the different types of food that we're eating help keep us satiated, and more importantly, help us keep our brain from getting into that craving zone where we are, famished and looking for food. Nobody makes good decisions on a tired or hungry brain. So the more we can do to prep this week, the more we can do to be proactive in having food ready for us, the better we can be in making sure that we don't have these big ebbs and tides of hungry, not hungry, hungry, not hungry. So I hope that helps with just understanding a bit more about why we get the belly fat. And then things that don't make our belly feel good. I know that as somebody who has colitis, food and stress are my two main triggers, and stress being more, my belly will trigger, my guts will trigger over stress than they will over food. So good stress, bad stress, whatever that is, my guts will be in disarray over bad food that I eat. But you're eating bad food when you eat something, you feel distended, you have really awful smelling gas, you're not going to the bathroom, or your bathroom breaks are really like hard to get out or really watery. So that means that that's a sign that the body is trying to tell you something about the food that you're eating. So again, we can look at that, and I'm here to answer any questions. And if I don't have an answer, I promise you, I've got a lot of great resources that I can help you find. So I'm giving you a little bit of information just because we talked a bit of the belly fat in the at the beginning of the call, but holler if you want some more information specifically to you and to your goal. And then at the end, just kind of really reflecting on what changed in the last step challenge I had. Surprisingly, I had people that went from, 2,500 steps to 5,000 to 6,000. Before we started the challenge, they were complaining about lack of energy. They were surprised that putting more energy out actually gave them more energy. So it's always, I mean, I'm not surprised by it, but I'm surprised by the reaction that people get when they're treating their vessel, this beautiful, thing that we call our body, well, that it actually responds well to the work, to the movement, and to the food that we're giving it. So just a few things that you could reflect on. And then here again, there's lots of opportunity to get involved after the 10-day challenge. I'm actually starting a weekly virtual live class. I'm going to do two strength classes per week, 30 minutes. We could do in the comforts of our home, one function and two Pilates. So I'm going to start that in May. I'm super excited to come back to teaching. I recognize that I don't get to see my people enough on a regular basis. So I put this program together to help people looking for consistency, help with getting some resistant training, some strength training, where they're not comfortable with maybe lifting some weights or bands or body weight, and then helping on the function side, my women figure out like how not to have bad posture, how to get rid of the aches and pains that come from the neck to the shoulders, to the hips, to the knees, to the back, to the ankles. So we're going to do some functional training that just help make movement ideally a little bit easier. So that's something that's coming in May. It's $99 a month. You can join up for a month, see how you like it, but it'll be consistent throughout the year. And at the end of the day, before that was it that I had, did you guys have any questions? I will send you the workbook, so you'll have that for tomorrow. And I will get us on our text group tonight. But is there any questions that I can answer for you?
I don't
Yes.
have anything coming off. No, not right now.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, not any for now, Kim. I
Okay.
think it will be more of a nutrition down the road about how to maybe plan my meals, what I'm eating differently throughout the day. But I think that's more of a personal
Yeah.
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
You
no, it's
bet.
very clear. Thank you.
We can sidebar that. Like I know, Martine, you've had lots of good experience with the stuff that we've done in the past. So if you're just needing to update, how you think of food, because it's just a matter of getting back at it. I've got a new program that outlines what, if 1,500 calories is what you're looking for, I can do, a month plan of 1,500 calories, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, two snacks. So I can build something out that makes sense for you and then, just do something like that. If you're looking to, if you need accountability, then that's where we look at the coaching. But if you're just looking for information, I've got that as well. So lots of options for you guys. I'm here to support you. I want you to be successful. There's nothing that you can't come at me with. So, like I said, use me and abuse me. I'm here for you. I'll see you guys in the challenge. If you have any questions, holler. But otherwise, thanks for showing up.
That's great. Thanks.
Okay, have a great
Thank you,
night.
Kim.
Okay.
Okay,
Same to you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.